Well, hey everybody, let's make another me music video. If I sound a little bit ridiculous, it's because I'm just getting over a cold and I don't think I'm quite there yet. So I apologize for that. But anyways, this is a video which has made the rounds many times over the years and is tremendously popular, and I think many of you may know it. And I think this is a really good one to do because it, again, we're dealing with some singing, and then we're also dealing with some, how do I say this? I think we have an opportunity to draw from our environment to create rhythm. Basically meaning we might be able to just strip a beat out of thin air. Well, not out of thin air, out of sounds that happen in the video, but you know what I mean. So let's check it out. Hi, yes, hello. Before we start, here's a list of faces I will make in this video. Please enjoy. Thanks.
Oh, I can't help but think. No, I can't help but think of you. Maybe in time you can win me back, but right now me and you are through. Baby, we can't be together, never.
Okay, I don't know how many times I've seen that video in my life. It's still funny. I'm sorry. It is. It just is. So let's dig into the very first part of it, which is she's doing some singing, and I think there's a chance that we're sort of maybe a little in between keys. We might be kind of in and out of some places, but that is our job as accompanists, to try to figure out what's the singer doing and how do we follow them. So yeah, let's just transcribe what she's singing. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's see what's going on in the very beginning here. So we have,
Oh, I can't help but think.
So
Oh, I can't
so I think that's pretty,
help.
but then we drop a half step there.
Oh, I can't help but.
Yep, and now we're in a new key.
Oh, I can't help but think.
Are we? I think we might be in between A and B flat there.
Oh, I can't help but think.
Ooh. This is one of those scenarios. I think I mentioned it in the last video. It's like, okay, well, we kind of have an in-between note, so what's going to serve us better? So right there, I mean, if we're talking about harmony, that's A flat, B flat, C. I mean, maybe the most obvious thing to do there is, just because it's 1, 2, 3 of A flat. But we don't like doing the obvious thing. We want to make it more complicated for literally no reason. How would that? Let's see. Go to a 4, like a D flat sound, but then she drops a half step, so we can just drop right down. And then where did she go? Okay, and then the next note is the one we're not sure of. It could be either one of those. So if we're coming from, oops, is there any other way we could do that? How else would that work? Well, that could work on, how would that work? Let's see, minor. I mean, that kind of works. It does work, but it's a little tough. What about? It works there, but again, it's a little bit obscure. How about? Works there. It's the same thing, right? So That is, let's see. So we're either talking about D flat to C, or we're talking about B flat to A, which is basically the same thing. Just one is the relative minor of the other. So if you have D flat major 7, you have B flat minor 7. It's the same. It's basically the same chord. It uses like pretty much all the same notes. Pretty interchangeable. So we could do either one. So I think it's going to depend on where we go next. Like, what are we going to do after that? So then we have this. We know that's the right one, but then we're somewhere in the middle of that.
Oh, I can't help but think.
You know what? In my brain, I was hoping that it was going to be perfectly in between so that we could pick whatever one was going to be more useful. But I think the reality is...
Oh, I can't help but think.
She kind of slides through it or to it, but I think it's a B flat. My brain was hoping it was going to be I was going to be able to get away with an A, because that would allow us to stay in this sort of new key, I guess, in this new place that we kind of came to after that first chord. We could do something with it like, but now we got to deal with a B flat. So we got to go from here. That's not that hard. What am I talking about? That's really not that hard. No, I don't like that. Every once in a while, I'll just play something totally stupid and you immediately just go, no. Okay. Here's an idea. What if we what if we did this thing where the first two notes we're using the major seventh of the whatever the chord is. So D flat, the melody's the major 7. C, the melody's the major 7, right? What if we stick to that for just a second, just for this opening bit of this piece, which would make the next one, and then, oh, it's a little weird. Let's see. I don't like the ending. I do like, that's not bad. Ooh, what if we made it a sus chord? My problem with going to B flat there is that the melody is B flat, and like, how boring is that to use literally the chord that the melody is? It's just not that interesting. So I'm trying to get away from that somehow. Where's that bringing us? 2 sus chords in a row. Secondary dominance. No. Well, where does she go next? Let's find that out. May that be a helpful piece of information to have. All right, so now we're in G. We started in, well, G, I say G. I don't know what it's going to be. But we started, now we're here. So we've dropped that melody phrase down a half step. Oh, now that's an A. So now this is, okay, so that's easier to deal with because we're not really kind of changing key. So we're going to start. Definitely not going there. Maybe. Ooh, I kind of like that. Let's see. That That's not bad. Okay, what's next? We are up on the table now. Things are about to go down. Ha. Ha. So now we're getting into the song. So some of the notes are really good. You know, it's just like the consistencies. It's a little bit all over the place, but that's okay. I mean, you know, the tone of her voice is really nice. Okay, wait. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. That B flat really throws everything off because, I mean, there's a lot of different ways I can use it, but no matter what, I have to introduce a sound that's a half step away from the one I was just on, which means that I've got to use something where the entire tonal center is going to be a half step off somehow. Unless the only way I can get away from that is if I use some sort of alteration, like an upper extension of a chord that brings that in where, so for example, I mean, we're still in G in that point, which is the same. But the problem I have with that is that this whole sort of vibe that we're creating isn't really, it doesn't really lend itself well to something that different sounding. And it's not to say I couldn't find a way to make it work, but I'm trying to stick with this sort of lots of major seventh chords, lots of minor, you know, minor ninth chords, or like sus chords, sus 13 chords. I'm trying to stick with like a diatonic kind of sound rather than like a super crazy alteration heavy upper extension world of these crazy chords, you know, like you know, all kinds of nutso stuff that I could play, but it's gonna change the sound, right? So that's why I'm trying to stick to something where it'll work in a more congruent way with the rest of what I've come up with so far. But I do kind of like that. It's kind of a neat theme. Oh, this poor girl. Oh, I feel so bad for her, but it's so funny. I'm just going to leave those last two notes as they are, because that's hilarious. I think we got something. Do you hear it? Listen. I'm gonna break that up so that you can hear it easily. Hold on. Listen to this. It's literally dum ba ba ki, because what's going on there? Oh, it's the chair in the foreground. When the table hits the chair, it makes like a real small kind of like backbeat snare almost. It's so stupid. Okay, so that sounds awfully close. Let me maybe
in time you can be that. But right now, me and you.
It might work. It might work. we might actually have the crash of the table at the same tempo that her song is. So after we play through the whole thing, we can literally go back and use the crash of the table as like a drum track for the whole thing. This is wow. Okay, let me mess with this for a minute, and I'll be back.
A few moments later.
All right, I got it. So here's the deal. It was It was almost perfect. But I did take the speed and duration and I dropped it down to like 95%. Because it was ever so slightly too fast. But normally I don't ever touch the videos I work with in any way, shape, or form, because I just think it's better if I'm literally transcribing exactly what's going on. But in this case, I don't know, I just thought this was too good to pass up. So I slowed it down by just 5% so that it would fit. Here's the finished product. You ready for this? Watch this.
Maybe in time you can bring me back. But right now, me and you are through.
It's so stupid. It is literally the dumbest thing I think I've ever made in my... Well, no, it's not, because my videos are pretty dumb. But it is on the list of the dumbest things I've ever made. And yeah, it needs a little tweaking. It needs a little finesse. But I think it's there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the video, and then I'm gonna add all the chords that we just worked on, and we're gonna figure out how to make this thing into a song. So yeah, let's I'll be right back with that. And so for this video, I've gone into Logic and I've added some additional instruments for that last part where we've got like a kind of a beat going on, just to make it even more ridiculous. And yeah, so here's the finished product.
Oh, I can't help but think. No, I can't help but think. Maybe in time you can bring me back. But right now, me and you are through. Maybe we can be together. Maybe in time you can bring me back. Right now, me and you are through. Maybe in time you can bring me back. Right now, me and you are through.
We're through. And that's it for today's creation. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments what video you'd like to see me build from scratch next. Don't forget, I'm available on Cameo, and as well, I have a link to my Patreon in the description. Thank you so much for your support, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.